Hey everybody, welcome back to the RealtorShow.com. Again, it's therealtorshow.com. My name is Dan Sfera. I'm here with Dan Peart, team leader of Keller Williams Irvine. That is the office that I am an agent in, and that's the office where Dan Peart is the team leader. So, welcome back, Dan. It's been a while since we did one of these. You guys had a reunion, and then I interviewed
Yeah.
Chris Heller, and so now we're back.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, it was a great family reunion. I'm really glad to be back, and it takes a while to even still get back under control, after
Right.
you go, because so much information, so much powerful information, and it's you just gotta, kind of compartmentalize it and go.
Yep, exciting stuff. So, we always talk about it, okay? Well, not always, but in our last videos, because we've done this since probably the end of December of 14, we refer to this bad boy quite often, okay? The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And so
Yes.
today and for the next several interviews between Dan and myself, we're going to be kind of dissecting this book. So today we're going to cover part one, which are the six myth understandings between you and high achievement. Okay. So
Right.
I guess we'll get right into it. And these are the myth understandings are things that are generally held beliefs by most realtors of why they can't succeed. Am I right there, Dan?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of people, a lot of agents have excuses, and everybody has excuses in general, but these are probably the six most common that you hear from someone in our business
Okay, so myth
going forward.
one,
So.
myth number one, I can't do it. So it sounds simple enough, but what's the actual issue there? What can't agents not do?
Well, you'll have agents come into the business, and one of the things that you'll hear is, I can't call an expired listing. Well, why can't you do it? Well, because I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do, or whatever it is. There's always a reason on the other side of them not doing it. What's funny is they get paralyzed by the fear of what they don't know. They don't know what the conversation is, and so on. And so when it comes to can't do it, things like scripts, and it's usually a scripting, a skill-based problem. It's not usually desire focused. However, we do see sometimes when people say, hey, I can't do that, they really don't have the desire to maybe call a cold lead. Or I've heard people say, I can't call my database
Hmm.
because I just can't do it, because there are people I know, and there's like 16 realtors in my family, and I can't do it. And
Mm.
so that one's probably the most common, and rightfully so. It's number one.
So it's kind of like a derivative of fear, or like a closely related cousin to fear, basically.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I we had an agent a while back that she was scared to go door knocking. In her culture, door knocking was the worst thing that you can do. The worst of the worst people did that, and finally she went out and started knocking on doors, and in a fairly small amount of time made dents, started getting listings in a very high priced neighborhood, and just pushed past it. And I think she's one of the few. A lot of people won't push past it.
Hmm. And so the truth, so every myth has a truth. That's why I like this first section. The truth is until you try, you can't possibly know what you can or can't do. And it may be true that you're better at doing certain things than others, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think if most people would just try it, they would just step outside of their comfort zone just a little bit, not so far that there's no going back. But I really believe it's a small degree of separation that keeps people from high performance. And if they just take that chance, they find that, hey, things can become fluid very quickly.
Hmm.
And it's about that.
Okay. Now, myth two, it can't be done in my market. So,
Okay.
what is it? Is it just any excuse that they can come up with?
Yeah, it's funny. You'll hear. I remember when we would hear about short sales and things like that, and the marketing we would do, or we would actually go knock on a notice of default's door and try to help them. I would hear all the time, especially from people in higher end markets. Oh, that can't be done in my market, or you can't possibly go up and knock. I've got CEOs in my neighborhood. I can't go knock on their door. Or I got doctors. I can't just go do that and suggest that I can short sell their home. So it really is just a mindset. And usually if they say it can't be done in my market, or it's not able to be done in my market, it usually means they haven't seen anybody else do it, and so they don't want to try it. Very common.
Okay. Yeah, I see. And the truth there, the truth to that one is yes, it can, but you may need a new approach. So there's a little bit of opportunity there to get creative, maybe.
Absolutely. It may be, like in that same example I used, it might be something where they, maybe call people or figure out the numbers in the area, or they mail out to get responses. They send out response message, postcard marketing, or whatever it is that helps them. They could do it online to reach the same audience. It's the same system ultimately. It's just a different approach in getting it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, myth three, it would take too much time and effort. I would lose my freedom. So, what is this a fear about? What would take too much time and effort?
I that one always it always confused me, because it would take too much time and effort. I would lose my freedom. If you're truly doing this business at a high level, the freedom in that first year is, it exists, but it exists within their schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that this is probably something that I've heard from people that aren't managing their schedule. They're not managing their time. They're letting things get away from them, or they're not effective, or when they want to add something to their lead generation plan. This is something that they would say. It takes too much time and effort. I don't have that much time in the day, so I'm going to stick with what I know. I'm going to do this, even if it's not working sometimes. So, yeah, so that's why I love the truth on this one,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
more than
time and
anything.
effort. The truth is, time and effort are not the deciding factors in success. So, can you explain that? What does that mean?
Time and effort aren't the deciding factors, because you could spend a lot of your time doing the wrong things. You can spend a lot of effort
Uh,
doing the wrong things and not produce any results. And that's where we find most real estate agents actually, is that they spend, like, hey, I got to design my flyer. Well, it takes time to design a flyer. It takes effort to design a flyer,
right.
and unless it's out there, unless you're getting face to face with people, nothing's going to happen. So it can be the most beautiful flyer in the world, and it's not going to have any kind of effect on your business.
Yeah, just kind of
It's
a
kind of
quick.
like what Anthony Robbins says. Anthony Robbins says, you can run east looking for a sunset, but you're not going to find it. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. It's a waste of energy and time and effort. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what that means to me, overall.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, a quick tangent here. When I interviewed Chris Heller last month, he said at the beginning, like 100% of his time was spent on only income generating activities. So no
Absolutely.
mailing, no creating letters. He had people do that. No licking envelopes, which can take
Yeah.
hours, right? So you want to
Hmm.
focus your time on what's producing income and then have a system for everything else.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about systems, and the more efficient you can be with your time. I always tell, and I think I said this on one of our videos, is that you're the surgeon. When you're the lead agent on the team, sometimes you're the surgeon. You need to be doing the highest dollar productive activities, and then hire for the rest.
Hire for the
And
rest, yeah. Yeah, same thing with me when I
yeah,
do these
so,
videos. I mean, what actually the meat of what I'm doing is creating the content. I don't have time to design the images that go with each blog post. We have people that do that. So this
right.
actually applies to like other industries than real estate. But let's move on to
Yeah.
myth four. Myth four says it's too risky. I'll lose money. So what's that about?
Usually at a time when well, what a lot of people do is they approach things. A lot of agents even do it. They approach things kind of haphazardly, right? Like if someone calls them for the next shiny penny, or someone calls them and says, "Hey, I want to sell you some web leads." All right. Well, the reason it's risky is because most agents have difficulty converting web leads. I mean, if you're not doing your own conversion on your own, it's not going to do you any good to have more leads that you can't convert. And so that's usually when it comes to the risk. It's really about losing money because no one's really maximizing, not no one, but most people are not maximizing their lead generation activities to its fullest.
Hmm. This is where, in I think 2 interviews ago, you mentioned that you got to be accountable for every dollar that you're spending, right?
Yes.
So this is very much
Uh-huh.
related to that.
It
And
is,
the
but even more importantly than that, Dan, you got to be accountable to the skill it takes to be able to make these things lucrative. And so, people lose money because I think sometimes they just don't practice enough. They don't practice enough on their craft. This is one of those businesses that, like on the Inman News thing with Chris Heller and stuff, he talks about that real estate has a low bar of entry. And so when you look at that, you're not dealing, and then few people are like the athletes, the ones that actually take it to a level and conquer it. So that one's really kind of close to my heart because I see people waste a lot of money, and really it's only about developing skill.
so they see money as maybe a shortcut to replace hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
see that a lot. Or to
Hmm.
replace skill,
Replace skill.
and
Okay.
it's
And
absolutely
the truth there is risk is in direct proportion to how well you hold your incremental cost accountable to producing incremental results.
right.
So it's pretty
Yeah,
much what
every
we
dollar
talked about.
account. Yep,
Hmm.
exactly. Every dollar accountable. Every you put out a dollar. I know, even in talking to Chris, he wants to get back 10 for every one invested, and my bar was $5 for every $1 invested. And holding those things accountable is both a measure of risk and in proportion of what you're paying out. It's about having the skill to be able to take that to the next level. So practice with money invested, you're going to get the results that you want over time. It's
Hmm.
just the practice of it.
Would it be wiser to practice with a small amount of money before you invest everything you've got?
And again, that's in this book, Lead with Revenue. Work on the things that don't cost you money. I mean, there's so many things an agent can do every single day to help generate business that are very low cost. Like how much does it cost to, go knock on your neighbor's door and
Right.
let them know you're in the business, right? And then calculate how much it costs by, seeing the for sale sign in their yard and it's not yours.
Mm.
So you think about just the steps someone can take and getting started in this business. Very low cost to start up.
Right. Okay.
So,
Let's get we got 2 more myths, all right? So myth 5.
okay.
My clients will only work with me. Only I can deliver quality service. So this can translate into any industry, but we're in the real estate industry here. This one's one of my myths, I guess. I like to be hands-on with my clients, although I'd like to automate it. So what is that
Yeah.
myth all about?
This is a very common one as well. In our industry, there's an element of kind of that control freak, that person that agent that gets in the business, and it is a business where it's like people tend to come that they need to feel needed, wanted, and they like their phone to ring. I mean, it starts off that way, and then later on, you're like, look, I really want some time freedom. How do I do it? Well, if you're doing everything you can, and it's one of those businesses that just real estate assistants weren't always common in this business. Chris always says, hey, he was one of the first people, first agents to have an actual assistant to help
Yeah,
him.
yeah, that's what he
And
was
so one
telling me.
thing, yeah, so and he was very clear, I don't need to be I don't need to be the face, but I need my systems to match my standards, and that's even more relevant. And so, yeah, it's astonishing how many people they can't give up control, and they're worried about giving up control to somebody else.
Yeah, I meet people all the time. I'm one of them. I'm working on that myself. I think I'm getting better.
That's
But
what I
I,
hear a lot too.
yeah, but I meet so many people that believe so firmly in this that it's like to them it's not a
Right.
myth, it's truth. And I mean, it's easier to see it in someone else than it is in yourself. But I see it a lot.
Yeah, Absolutely, it is. That's why I love that truth. You know, your clients aren't loyal to you; they're loyal to the standards you represent. In fact, I used to always say my clients are loyal to my systems. You know, they love my systems. I used to be referred by the fact that I would do a buyer presentation, and it was impressive to people, and that's how my career really launched.
Wow.
It's just those little things, those systems.
So what's a
You can
buyer's
teach people.
presentation? If we can just tangent a little bit, what is that?
A buyer presentation would be basically it's a presentation and a consultation where you sit down with your buyers, just like you would your sellers, and you go through expectations. The better a real estate agent sets an expectations dialogue, the better it's going to be. And so I realized people did it for listings, but no one did it for buyers.
Right.
And what's
Right.
great is everybody would come in to the office. It's an opportunity for you and the buyers to really get to know each other, get to know what their threshold is, their threshold of pain, their threshold of pleasure, where they want to, what their goals are. And it was one of the favorite parts. It would show them the properties that we were going to look at that day in the order they were going. What the contract looks like when they're writing an offer. So now they've got an offer in there. They're used to seeing the paperwork. They're not scared to write the offer. And there were a couple other useful tools, but it
Wow,
was
very good. Very good idea.
they would carry it with them everywhere. Yeah.
And by the way, for those of you agents watching that are not part of our office, we have trainings on this at Keller Williams Irvine. So contact me or Dan. Contact one of the Dans if you're interested. Okay. But
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you for sharing that, Dan. So myth six.
So,
Okay, having a goal and not fully realizing it is a negative thing. So I guess a lot of people are scared to have goals because they don't want to fail themselves, right?
right, right. Yeah, I get that. That is the truth. Not realizing a goal, though. I mean, there's a lot of people that will work towards it and not realize a goal. So it's not really a negative thing to not realize a goal once or twice. It's getting there. That's why I love the truth on this one because it uh, it really puts it into perspective.
Yeah, the truth is having a goal and not trying to achieve it is a negative thing. So yeah,
Right.
this one I don't have any problems with, but I'm sure there are agents out there that do.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll have people tell me their goals and they get excited, especially when an agent comes and joins our company from another company. They're very excited about the goal that they have, and then they get in, and then what happens is that elasticity of growth, right? Like the rubber band, they're stretched a little bit, and then they come right back to the same behavior, and they're expecting a different result because they're in a different location. Well, without and then they're held accountable and then they stretch again or they just kind of go, look, this is what I'm destined to do. So you see sometimes that people have big goals and then they're really not doing what it takes. They're going to be willing to do what it takes and then go do what it takes. It's not an easy business.
Yeah, it's kind of like how the word entrepreneur is loosely thrown around. I mean, there's very few people that actually are willing to put in the work to be an entrepreneur.
That's true. That's true. And
And
that's why I love that's why I love E to P is, moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful. And we talked
yeah,
about that before,
right,
because a lot of entrepreneurs are, kind of jobless, you know what I mean?
right,
Unless they're purposeful in the
right.
direction they want to go. So,
Yeah, and I was gonna say us realtors, we need to start thinking of ourselves as entrepreneurs. I mean, that's really what we are.
right, we are. And if we really, really want to grow it big, we got to think of ourselves as business owners.
Hmm.
Uh, because entrepreneurs are great. Being self-employed is the first step, and then getting to that business ownership where you're truly leveraged and you're able to do the business and grow the business and be profitable without it all being you. Um, that that's something that it's just an amazing thing.
Well, thank you, Dan, for going through the six myth understandings with us. And for those of you interested in maybe thinking about joining our agency in Irvine, give me or Dan a call. My number is 949-415-6256. And where can they reach you, Dan?
949-861-8007.
Okay. And email's good too, dansfair@kw.com. We'll have the links underneath the channel. And stay tuned for next time because we'll discuss more of this book. This is like the Bible for you realtors. And there's so many realtors that haven't read this book. I mean, you don't have to be at Keller Williams to read it. You can read it anywhere.
Right. In fact, you know what? If anybody's interested in a copy, just call us or, of course, email Dan, and you know, would love to get you in here, tell you a little bit about it, and give you a copy of the book.
Ah, good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Thank you, Dan. Thank you guys for watching
Thank you.
therealtorshow.com, and we look forward to next time. Take care, guys.